Welcome to another Rooster Talk where we speak with ASX companies focusing on updating the story. Today we're at the UWA Club here in Crawley at the University of West Australia. I've got Brad Underwood back here from Galileo Mining. Brad's been a common victim for Coffee with Samso, and he's back with us, going to give us an update on what's been happening. They've got a couple announcements, one this morning with a 10,000 metre drilling program. So, Brad, welcome back.
Great, thanks for letting me come on again, and looking forward to your hard questions.
Yeah. Look, Brad, you've got an announcement out today, drilling at in Norseman. Share with us.
We started over the weekend. We've got a 10,000 metre air core drilling program, and we've been working on the target generation for this program over the course of the year. So it's great to be able to start drilling and testing some of those concepts and targets we've developed. Air core drilling, as of course you'll know, is a shallow drilling technique. Allows us to go down perhaps 70, 80 metres in that area. A lot of the holes will be shallower. Gives us a look at the fresh rock undercover. Some of the targets we've built up from soil sampling, so we know we've got good results in those areas from the soil samples, and then we'll drill down to the fresh rock to see what's beneath our feet in those areas.
Look, Norseman sort of, look, when I think of Galileo, I think that you guys, you're atypical exploration company. You do your things in campaigns, you build up targets, and then you sort of then go out and put the truth machine onto it. Norseman has been sort of a secondary focus for you guys for a while, but man, I'm looking at the targets you've got here. That's and from your previous work there, it's building up to be as good a primary target as Albany Fraser. Would that be a fair comment?
Well, it is a really fascinating story, and the potential there looks to be very good. So we are spending a lot of time and effort and money focusing on the Palladium and nickel prospectivity around Norseman. So Norseman's at the southern end of the Norseman-Wiluna greenstone belt. There's a huge amount of nickel mines in the area. So the nickel prospectivity has been well demonstrated. I think that's accepted by everyone. The Palladium is relatively new and is something we're focusing on now because we've got the techniques to look undercover. So we are taking the opportunity with the technology that we've got to be the first people to go and look in that area for palladium, platinum and nickel.
I mean, it's interesting you mention it because from my limited understanding while I was in university, but Norseman was a gold place to me. It was never a nickel place, but up the road you've got Kambalda and you've got Widjamotha, and so like you said, it's got nickel history all through it. But when I'm looking at this, you're looking at the Jimberlana Dyke. Effectively, you're calling it a seal, and a lot of your narratives is about looking at that. Can you just share with us what you guys are thinking about this area?
The historic exploration right through Kambalda was based on outcropping mineralisation. So in the 60s, which was about 50 years ago, those first discoveries were found because they were outcropping. And then there were a number of other discoveries found around those. At Norseman, one of the reasons I think that there have been limited nickel occurrences found is that it's mostly undercover. So the best, most prospective ground is covered by perhaps 5 to 10 metres of surface material, and that's enough to mask anything that's at depth. So it's very easy to hide deposits in an area that have cover on it. So there just hasn't been much exploration. With the Jimberlana Dyke, that's an area that has received exploration, not within our ground, but over the length of the dike, because it's something like 500 kilometres long. It is a replica of the Great Dyke of Zimbabwe, where they have numerous palladium and platinum mines. So the geology looks good, and that's been recognised for a long time. However, it hasn't received that same level of exploration because of the difficulties of exploring undercover.
Mm. And in your announcement out today, you did talk about your mission SEAL 1 target, and you talk about how the position geologically of the potential source is very similar to Money and that project in Canada, and another one in Canada as well. So can you just explain to us what you mean by that? I mean, is it, how important is that?
A lot of geological targeting is built on analogy. If we know in another area that we have geology that has given rise to mineralisation, which has been mined, then we typically look for the same types of rocks. If the same rock association is seen in a different area around the planet, because geology is a global phenomenon, then we'd expect to see mineralisation perhaps occur in those same areas. So you said in Canada it's the Lactazil mine, and we've got Money as well. What we have is a layered intrusion, which is a deep magma that's come up from a long way beneath us and slowly settled, and as it's settled it's formed various layers. There's a particular boundary in that intrusion where it appears that sulfides can accumulate, and that's between the ultramafic and mafic components of that intrusion. And we've seen that around the world, and we are investigating that same contact position where it occurs at Norseman. We already know there are sniffs of sulfide in the area with palladium and nickel and copper, but the grades are around 0.2 grams at Mission Sill. We get slightly higher grades at Mount Thirsty, around half a gram, over extensive widths. So we know those geological processes are operating, and what we need to do is try and find if there are economic accumulations worth mining.
I mean, when I'm looking at one of your figures there, figure 1 in your announcement, it looks like a very pretty picture with your targets there.
Thanks.
Took take a while to get that. But, you know, when we look at that, and most sort of investors out there who look at this will say, okay, that's almost like X marks the spot, right? But we sort of know that that's not really the case. But when you put pretty pictures like that out there, most people go, oh, well, that's X marks the spot. Can you just give us a narrative of why that shouldn't be the thinking? Or why it should?
Yeah, it's more like X marks a large circle. So when you look at the scale of the map, I think that one's over about 5 kilometres. So we have narrowed it down. So our tenements in that area, we've got over 300 square kilometres. We've narrowed it down to a zone in this particular area that's maybe 300 or 400 metres wide that extends over 5 kilometres. So we know where that prospective contact is, but it is extensive and it's undercover. So we need to establish a baseline drilling across that contact position and then try to focus in on the areas where the grades are higher.
And when you get mineralization or you get a sniff in this style, do you normally see a big halo? You've got to be pretty precise.
Yeah, you have to be on that contact position. So you wouldn't expect to see a big halo. There might be a halo over 5 to 10s of meters, but not hundreds or anything like that. It's not an alteration process.
Yep.
It's a part of the rock forming process.
I remember we had a discussion a while ago, and we discussed, like, you know, how sure is a target an EM target or geophysical target. And when we talked about the stuff in Albany Fraser, you said that, look, you, from experience, from your drilling, from your understanding, the likelihood of something else being that target is lower. In here, is that not the case? Because I would assume that, you know, a geophysical or a target that you're chasing like can create a lot of hit and miss in that sense.
You mean in the Fraser Range?
No, in Norseman, with the geology that you have there.
Yeah, we're confident of hitting the right geology. It's whether those geological processes have happened and produced enough metal to be economic for us. So you can extract metals from seawater if you really want to. It's just about the cost of getting it out. So we know there's a huge amount of palladium and platinum and nickel in the area, but at the current prices, it would need to be a higher grade. So at a 0.2 grams palladium, there's a very extensive zones of that, but we need to find those areas that are more like 2 to 3 grams.
Okay. So going forward, I mean, you've got 10,000 meters drilling. What can investors be expecting from Brad, because they're all waiting?
Well, this is our 14th drilling program since we listed. So our exploration methodology is one where we build up targets and we go and drill test them. So every time we go drilling, we have a chance of success. We spend a lot of time making sure our targets are realistic and really have good quality support to them. So hopefully from this drilling program we could generate results which will lead us to a discovery.
All right, great. Look, Brett, it's an update. I guess you can't say too much in a sense because everyone's just waiting on your. You've done the work to get to the drilling stage. Now it's just a case of the waiting game, I guess, in that sense. Any last words to eager investors out there? Buy Galileo.
Well, we're always undertaking drilling. It's part of our work process. This year's been a little bit difficult because of the backlog of drilling within the industry, but we do have a second drilling program planned before the end of the year, and that's at the Fraser Range, which we hope to kick off in December. So between now and the end of the year, we hope to finish 2 drilling programs, and then the assay results from those will flow through in the new year.
Okay, we've had conversations since late 19, and the one thing I can say for you guys is that you're always out there drilling most of the time. When we spoke, you've got a program happening or you're planning. And, exploration is all about getting that trophy machine on the ground, I guess, in that sense. So look, Brett, thanks for giving us an update. I know you're a busy man. So, till next time. Thank you.
Great. Thanks very much.